Hi everybody. The video that you've all been waiting for is finally here. It is standard form of a linear equation. And we have seen already that the standard form of a linear equation is in the form ax plus by equals c. And then we saw in breakout rooms that just saying that is not enough because, and you don't need to put this in your notes, but just to remind you, like 2x plus 3y equals 8 and 4x plus 6y equals, that's supposed to be a y, equals 16. These are equivalent equations, and so you can't have both. One of them has to be standardized because if you have both, then it's confusing and we don't have a standard form. Okay, so standard form of a linear equation, ax plus by equals c, and then what we're going to do is put a bunch of rules on a, b, and c, and you guys have come up with these rules. And so the first rule is a, b, and c are integers. Okay, and what that means is they are whole numbers, positive and negative. So what they're saying is you can't have fractions. So like, let's see, like 2/3 x plus 4y equals 1 is not standard form. Okay, and we'll talk about how to get that into standard form, but I'm going to ask you right now, how do you get that? How would you get that pink equation into standard form? What could you do to it that would make, so right now a is not an integer. What could you do to it to make a an integer? The next thing we say is that a has to be greater than or equal to 0. Which is the math way of saying the x term has to be positive. A lot of you guys came up with this. One group came up with that the constant term has to be positive, which would be equally adequate. It's just not how when mathematicians standardized standard form, they decided that the x term has to be positive. So the coefficient of x, a, whatever a is, has to be a positive number. Okay, the next one is that the greatest common factor of a, b, and c has to equal 1. Okay, and that's the math way of saying that you guys said things like it has to be simplified. Right, or another way that you said it was they can't, I can't remember how else he said it, but basically what this is saying is that only one, A, B, and C can only be divisible by, all three of them together can only be divisible by 1. Okay, and then the last one is, we don't use it very much, but you need to know it. A and B are not both 0. and I'll talk about that. So I'm going to erase this, so make sure you have that. That's basically your checklist for standard form. And we're going to just put a couple of things into standard form. So here I go, erasing this now. All right, so let's look at this one. 2/3 x plus 4y equals 1. And the question is, why is that not in standard form? And what can you do to put it into standard form? So in order to put this into standard form, I would multiply both sides by 3. And the reason I chose 3 is because when you do 2/3 times 3 over 1, the 3's cross cancel. If you are not good at cross canceling, you need to get good at cross canceling because we're going to need it for our algebra. So if I multiply everything in this equation by 3, I get 2x plus 12y equals 3. And we can go through our checklist. Are they all integers? Yes. Okay. Is a greater than or equal to 0? So we have a positive 2? Yes. Is the greatest common factor of a, b, and c equal to 1? So we have 2, 12, and 3. 2's get 2 and 1. 12 is 4 times 3, so it's 2 times 2 times 3, and this is 3 times 1. Okay, so this is confusing because this can trick students because 12 and 2 have a common factor of 2. The GCF of that is 2. And 12 and 3, I think my Fitbit is making this shaky. The GCF of 12 and 3 is 3. So 2 and 12 do not have a GCF of 1, and 12 and 3 do not have a GCF of 1, but all three of them, 2, 12, and 3, the only number that goes into all three of those is 1. So the greatest common factor of 12, 2, and 3 is 1. So that is standard form. So where's my green? Yes, we did it. Standard form. Let's try another one. I'm going to erase. Okay, let's look at something like 6x equals 4y minus 8. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, this is not in standard form because we don't have the x term, then the y term, then the equal sign, then the constant term. This 4y we need to get on the other side. So our first step is minus 4y to both sides. It's supposed to be a y. We get 6x minus 4y equals negative 8. Let's do our checklist. A, B, C are integers. Yep. We got whole numbers everywhere. That's good. A greater than or equal to 0. Yep. That's 6. That's a positive 6. The greatest common factor of A, B, and C is equal to 1. Nope, because 2 goes into all of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 2, and you have to divide everything by 2. And you're going to get 3x minus 2y equals negative 4. And we're good on that one. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is try some problems. The last thing I'm going to tell you, if you cannot manipulate it into standard form, okay? As long as you're doing everything right, if you're doing your algebra right, and you can't manipulate it into standard form, it is not linear. And next week, we're going to start talking about what that means to be not linear. But for now, you just need to know if you can't manipulate it into standard form, it's not linear. So the next things you'll do, you're going to do some red book practice and some con practice. I hope this video helped.